4.3 billion people live across this vast continent called Asia, and we are telling their stories. On this edition,
ऐसी कोरोना चलते रहेगा तो हमारी लाइफ बर्बाद है.
shattered dreams, isolated learning, transformed classrooms. We look at how the COVID-19 pandemic has changed learning for children in different parts of Asia. Welcome to the programme. Among the countless casualties of the coronavirus outbreak are children from countries all around the world, caught up in the uncertainty, disruption and fear that the pandemic has caused. Young ones have so far been largely spared, but their lives are being totally upended. We travel across Asia to meet some of them as they continue to cope with the crisis. In a land of stark, contrasting fortunes, Cup Parade on the southern tip of Mumbai symbolises the disparity between India's haves and have-nots. Towering over the district slums are the glittering high-rises of the country's commercial capital and distant aspirations of the poor. And yet, there are those who dare to dream of a better future. Like many of India's poverty-stricken citizens, the Sheikh family has placed those hopes in the children's prospects, with a chance their parents never had.
तो इसके वजह से क्या है, हम बच्चों को पढ़ाना चाहते हैं तो उनकी तो भी लाइफ बन सके, कुछ हो जाए तो आगे चल के हमारे जैसा मेहनत वो नहीं कर सकते हैं.
3/4 of the Sheikh family's meagre income is poured into schooling for their 3 sons and 1 daughter. But India's coronavirus outbreak has forced them to swap the classroom for this cramped living space in their home to get on with their studies. Huddled together on the floor, Mehboobi supervises whenever she can. When she doesn't, they struggle to concentrate.
अभी एग्जाम की पढ़ाई हुई नहीं है, अभी उसमें पास होंगे या फेल होंगे अभी हमको तो पता नहीं है. तब बच्चे भी परेशान हैं कि खेल रहे कूद रहे, उनको भी कुछ ये नहीं है, घर में ही बोरिंग हो रहे बैठे बैठे.
Third oldest Rehan is Mehboobi's biggest concern. He's now 10 years old, the same age she and her husband were when they dropped out of school.
अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है और बोरिंग भी बहुत हो रहा है. घर पे बैठे मम्मी पापा लोग भी काम कर लेते हैं घर का. हम लोगों सबको घर पे बोरिंग होता है, भाई बहन को.
कि अभी उनको खेलने कूदने की आदत गिर गई है, हो जाएंगी, घर के अंदर रहने की आदत हो जाएंगी तो बोलेंगे कि हम स्कूल नहीं पढ़ाई करेंगे, नहीं जाएंगे.
There's no recent official data on school dropout rates in India, but one report using statistics compiled by an open government platform found just 7 out of every 10 children complete secondary level education. Children struggling to cope with a routine away from the classroom may rebel against their studies.
What is common is that, of course, there's a growing restlessness, and a lot of them are getting stuck to gadgets, whether it is playing games on their phones or games on their television, and of course some of them are even rebelling and kind of getting aggressive with their parents because they're not allowing them to go out.
Rehan hasn't shown any signs of aggression but has brushed off warnings about not going out. Along these narrow alleyways, it's hard not to come into close contact with others, and it's hard not to worry about what that might mean.
हाँ, मुझे टेंशन है मम्मी डैडी भाई बहनों को ना हो जाए कोरोना वायरस.
Not that it's stopping Rehan from hanging with his friends outside. There's little choice for slum dwellers living in confined spaces but to turn a blind eye to the risks of letting their children out of their homes now. And for a while, the boys can forget about catching the virus. Given the choice, Rehan says he'd rather be somewhere else most days.
मुझे स्कूल जाके पढ़ाई करना है और पढ़ाई करके इंजीनियर बन के मम्मी पापा को कमा के पैसा भी दे सकता हूँ.
But there's another matter that might hamper those hopes. His father Haji has been out of work for weeks. As a labourer at the nearby fishermen's docks, it was already tough making ends meet on wages of about $200 a month.
उनका भी पगार पानी कुछ नहीं है, अभी वो भी क्या कर सकते हैं जो आ रहा नहीं है उधर से. उधर तो किसी को बोल नहीं सकते कि हमको पैसा दो, कुछ करो.
The sheikhs aren't paying school fees for now when they'll need to borrow from relatives for the kids to go back. They're relying on credit from stores just for groceries. The UN's International Labour Organization has warned as many as 400 million Indians working in the informal economy could sink deeper into poverty as a result of the coronavirus outbreak. It could shatter any chance of a better future the sheikhs had if they can no longer afford to send their children to school.
फिर हमारी लाइफ क्या हो जाएगी और हम जो सोच रहे हैं कि हमारे बच्चों को आगे बढ़ाए, कुछ पढ़ाई लिखाए, तो ये भी समझ में नहीं आ रहा है कि हम इसके लिए भी क्या कर सकते हैं और कैसा होएगा हमारा गुजारा, तो कुछ नहीं समझ में। ऐसी कोरोना चलते रहेगा तो हमारी लाइफ बर्बाद है।
The outbreak's been a double-edged sword for many families. On the one hand, lockdowns have devastated livelihoods. On the other hand, it's prompted fear of close ones getting infected. But there have actually been relatively few cases of children contracting the disease. According to a report published by the World Health Organization, at the end of February, people under the age of 19 made up just 2.4% of all cases worldwide. In Thailand, up till May 7th, 27 people under the age of 10 have been infected. Bangkok native Metawi Kunami keeps a close eye on her 9-year-old son Kawan to make sure he's taking precautions.
ที่บ้านเขาเข้ามาก็น้องล้างมือก่อนทานอาหารล้างมือห้องน้ำเสร็จล้างมือเด็กๆสังเกตได้ง่ายจะชอบจับหน้าเอามือเข้าปากก็จะเตือนเขาเป็นประจำว่างดพฤติกรรมประมาณนี้ก่อนประมาณนี้ค่ะ
Most children who become infected only display mild symptoms. They may even be asymptomatic silent carriers of COVID-19. It isn't hard to see how young people might be more prone to making contact with other people. Metawi is making sure there's minimal chance of that. Social gatherings are banned in Thailand, but people can still leave their homes. Karwin's allowed to go on car rides with his mother, but doesn't get out.
ถ้าออกจากรถหรือว่าอะไรพวกนี้ถ้าแล้วโควิดยังอยู่แล้วพวกนี้ก็อาจจะกลัวเกรงใจนิดหน่อยนะครับกลัวจะเป็นโควิดอะไรพวกนี้ครับแต่ตอนถ้าอยู่ในรถก็ไม่เป็นไรก็สนุกดี
Karwin's had little contact with anyone besides his parents for the past few weeks. Experts have warned that increased social isolation could cause serious harm to people's mental health and well-being.
通常情况下，绝大部分的孩子，他的身边没有这个病人出现的情况下，那么他被创伤的、被这种大事件、社会事件创伤的可能性是很小的，那么他们以往的一些创伤或心里面的一些担忧、一些焦虑，有可能因为这个事件被触发，那么这个时候，这个孩子可能会表现得退缩，胆小。 还有呢，就是严重的可能会有这个大小便失禁的情况。
Karwin's not shown any of these signs and is so far coping with the conditions, but like many other children around the world, he longs to see his school friends.
เยอะมากๆเลยครับไม่ได้ไปโรงเรียนซึ่งชอบไปโรงเรียนอยู่ที่บ้านก็อ่านหนังสือพวกนี้แล้วก็ทำกันบ้านแล้วเสร็จแล้วก็เรียนออนไลน์มันก็ไม่เหมือนเรียนเลยอะครับแล้วเสร็จแล้วก็เล่นเกมนิดหน่อยอะแล้วพวกนี้ครับมันหรือว่าอยากไปโรงเรียนมากกว่าครับ
According to the United Nations, close to 190 countries have closed their schools, affecting as many as 1.5 billion children and young people. It's come at a particularly awkward time for 15-year-old Lee Ho-jun from Seoul. In South Korea, the academic year starts at the beginning of March. Ho-jun was meant to be embarking on his first year of high school, something his mother had been excited about for him.
그게 아직 시작이 안 됐어요. 입학식도 못 했고. 그래서 아이가 이제 지금 고등학교가 올라간 건지 그러니까 뭔가 이제 시작하는 그런 느낌이 못 갖고 있는 게 이제 좀 안타까운 부분인 것 같아요.
Under South Korean law, students must attend school for at least 190 days in a calendar year. Otherwise, they can't move up a grade. But because of COVID-19, the government's shortened this term by 10 days, and there'll be some make-up time during the holidays. Still, to make sure he's keeping up with the curriculum, Ho-jun's parents pay around $200 a month for him to go to a study center where he won't get distracted. Every day he spends 5 hours in a tiny cubicle like this one with his textbook and tablet, watching course videos. Ho-jun only breaks to go to the bathroom or for a bite. There are other semi-partitioned spaces with less privacy that don't cost as much here, but with the door shut and all alone, Ho-jun can immerse himself in his studies. He's had a lot of time to think about the impact this outbreak has had on him.
되게 갇혀 있다는 느낌 계속 받고 친구들과 소통도 못하고 만나지도 못하니까 조금 우울한 기분도 들고.
그럴 경우에는 이제 학습자의 동기가 가장 중요합니다. 그러니까 그 학습자들이 동기가 액티베이트 돼 있으면 그 수업에 열심히 참여를 해서 지식을 전달받고 학습하는 것들이 잘 되는 반면에 그렇지 않은 친구들은 그냥 단순히 동영상만 틀어놓거나 뭐 수업에 그냥 이렇게 온라인 환경에만 접속해 있는 그런 경우들이 많게 되죠.
South Korea has received worldwide attention for its aggressive approach towards COVID-19 testing, but it's also launched rigorous efforts to educate citizens about protective hygiene and public cleanliness programs, including strict disinfection schedules. It's part of the reason why the country has managed to avoid mandatory lockdowns or bans on movements. Facilities like these are kept absolutely spotless and well stocked with sanitizers for visitors.
우리가 평소에는 좀 위생관념에 대해서 좀 부족하게 생각하지 않았나 싶어요. 평소에는 손도 그냥 대충 씻거나 뭐 손 세정제나 마스크에 대해서도 그렇게 꼭 필요하다는 느낌을 못 받았지만 이번 계기를 통해서 마스크의 중요성과 손 씻기 예절 같은 거를 더 잘 지켜야 됐다고 생각해요.
The lessons on how to protect themselves against COVID-19 may be rubbing off on teenagers like Ho-jun, but the same can't be said of young adults in South Korea. Official data show more than a quarter of all confirmed cases of infections are among people in their 20s. By comparison, in China, those in their 20s accounted for just 8% of infections.
그 얘기는 그만큼 20대가 핸드워싱이나 개인 위생, 마스크 웨어링, 또 사회적 거리두기 안 지켰다는 얘기죠. 많이 걸리고. 그러니까 상당히 걱정을 안 해요. 그러다 보니까 더 사회적 거리두기 안 지키고 이제 클럽 가고 이러죠. 주말에 불금을 즐기죠. 근데 문제는 거기서 걸려가지고 집에 와가지고 그 페런츠나 또 올더 페런츠, 그랜드 페런츠한테 트랜스미트 할 수가 있어요. 근데 이분들한테는 데인저러스, 치명적이다. 그러니까 일종의 인노선트 바이스탠더 이펙트로 간접살인, indirect homicide, looks like.
Taking hygiene seriously isn't the only thing the outbreak has taught Ho-jun. As has been the case for many people around the world, the coronavirus has forced many families to spend much more time with one another. For Ho-jun, going through typically confusing teenage years, the experience has created a bond between him and his parents that may not have been shaped the same way had it not been for what's happening.
서로 영화를 보거나 아니면 강아지들과 같이 놀고 아니면 같이 뉴스를 보고 이런 식으로 서로 대화를 하면서 이 사회적인 이슈에 대해서 생각해보고 또 서로의 여가 생활을 같이 함으로써 또 취미 생활을 공유할 수 있다는 점이 변한 것 같아요.
This battery.
Coming up next,
I'm going to do an experiment about electricity.
kids get creative with their classwork in their home school environments and
接着往下看正常分娩妇女。
behind-the-scenes look at a company capitalizing on the e-learning boom. Stay with us. Welcome back. One of the lasting effects of the coronavirus will be how it's transformed the way we learn. The outbreak has forced a worldwide experiment in remote education as millions of children try to keep up with their studies away from the classroom. We look at the imprint the crisis has left on students and schools and also explore how it's opened the door for new models of learning to thrive.
疯狂击打着，一路颠簸的传旋，指引崭新的中国。
14-year-old Liang Yuan is reciting a poem about the pandemic. But it's not just performance for the sake of it. Her brother, Liang Ci, is recording the reading. This is work that needs to be submitted to school.
每天的课要比平常在学校里的要轻松一些，
上午就是上3节，一般都是语文、数学和外语，然后下午就是上一些平常的那种课外活动课之类的，然后平常每天中午都会有2个小时的午休时间。
The siblings are from the megacity of Chongqing in southwest China. It neighbours Hubei and has been the hardest hit area in the country outside of the province where the virus was first reported. Primary and secondary schools were shut here from the Lunar New Year holidays onwards. Students began taking online classes on February 10th. Yang Yuan enjoys anything that involves sharing photos or videos with her teachers, but misses interacting with them in person.
就平常在上课的话，老师和我们就是会有一定的那种对话交流，然后就是沟通，然后他有时候他就是不懂的我们问，然后在这个里面的话，我们每个人的问题他不能就是那个信息太快，他有时候一时都看不完，然后都不能完全的就是给你回答完。然后呢，平常就是在学校里，你还可以跟同学们一起交流，一起就是谈论一些东西。然后在家里的话，用手机交流就没有在学校里那么方便。
Like most other students keeping up with their studies from home in China, the Liangs rely on their smartphones as opposed to computers for online classes. Teachers provide lectures via live webcasts. To help facilitate nationwide learning from home, China's Education Ministry mobilized telecom service providers to boost internet connectivity and upgrade the bandwidth of major online education platforms. Liang Ci, who's 17, says he still occasionally has trouble getting online, but his biggest challenge is trying not to get distracted.
的话，影响的方面就很多了，比如说，这个我们楼房外面的各种声响，以及家中锅碗瓢盆的各种的事情，都会影响到我们学习时候的专心程度。
Teachers take attendance and can see who's logged in, but they don't monitor the students' cameras. Without any supervision, there's always the temptation to do anything but get buried in the books.
但是就对于这个网络教学来说的话，还是更希望它这个网络平台的技术能够再提升，看进去才更有感受。
Schools in Chongqing reopened late in April. The Liangs are both elated to return.
上课的话，肯定还是要比网课的效果要好一些了。这个一抬头就可以看见老师的眼睛就望着你，那个不听讲也不可以了。
But there are still some practical difficulties of physically being there.
他会将这个上课的时间，由于是延长了，所以他会把一般的班级上，这是分成2个部分上课，尽力避免较长时间的师生之间的交流，避免掉感染。
Students weren't the only ones who found closures a challenge.
We had basically a weekend to prepare.
Tom Moore is principal of a semi-private primary school in Hong Kong. It had to mobilize and plan quickly when it was announced schools would shut, and then adapt as the outbreak extended the closures. The school did already use some online learning programs, so it wasn't completely unfamiliar territory for the teachers. But one of the challenges for Moore is to bridge the work from home back into the classroom when schools eventually reopen.
It tracks data, so as a school we want to track student progress. Again, it's difficult how much support did they have when they were doing these exercises. We really have to come back to school and check to see if the data we've tracked is valuable, see how we can use that data to prepare for more targeted support when students return.
For the time being, students are left to their own devices.
Hello there. I'm going to do an experiment about electricity.
Today we're going to do an optical experiment.
You might think that's boring, but it's actually really refreshing.
As COVID-19 continues to keep kids away from school, there's been ample debate globally about the effectiveness of remote or online learning versus traditional classroom learning. Moore says the younger the students are, the harder it can be for them to engage. But for many young ones, the novel experience and the use of multimedia in particular has produced some creative results.
This recipe is easy and yummy. I think you can do it as well.
That does allow for much more originality of, if they're doing projects, because they haven't been necessarily given extra guidance by a teacher, they might come up with something completely unique, completely original. So those outcomes have been quite good to see.
And there's no reason why that can't continue. What the outbreak has certainly done is bring online or remote learning to the forefront of the education industry. And let's say ultimately, with more children and parents becoming exposed to virtual classrooms, the more familiarized they become and the more likely they are to pay for services further down the road. While tourism and retail businesses are going bust, e-learning's been experiencing a massive boom. One report found that in the month of February, the three biggest players in China's online learning sector added $3.2 billion collectively to their value. It's been a wake-up call for many in the industry, according to one analyst with expertise in online learning.
I think people are starting to realize, the schools especially, that they're not set up for digital delivery. They're set up to use that as a kind of backstop, and they have contingency plans to deliver online classes. But it's just the same class.
But things could evolve rapidly in this space into something quite different from the same old class. What you're seeing here is a glimpse of what could be classrooms of the future. There are no students, just an instructor staring down the barrel of a camera with a giant screen behind delivering lectures. The operation is run by Huaxi Fengxing. It's an enterprise focused on integrating media and education, with a series of studios here churning out different courses day in, day out. The teachers come from different schools and universities who pay to turn these classes into videos for their students.
在疫情中，然后对这种需求的这种爆发的一个这种增长的量，就是说能带动我们公司来进行一个更好的一个发展。
Behind the scenes, dozens of staff edit and publish rich content for learning used by hundreds of institutions across China. The company has branches in major cities, including Beijing, Shanghai and Guangzhou, and it's currently working with several schools in Wuhan to expand services for different levels of education.
高校里面，它现在是一个就是说停滞的一个状态，但是一旦停滞以后，很多的这种以前的话，在这种高校里面，有一些高校对这种互联网教育啊，包括对一些慕课、微课的这种不太重视，但是通过这一次的这种疫情，会发现这个是一个很有必要的一个这个措施，所以就是说，在这一个阶段上的时候，签订了很多这种高校里面，他们就是说希望这个疫情结束以后来做一些课程、这些合同以及合作意向。
Zhao says the business has grown by about 20% in the last couple of months alone, but it's faced its share of challenges recently as well. Some of the instructors haven't been able to come to work because of restrictions on movement and fear of getting infected. And with the added demand, the company's having to figure out how to update new courses more quickly. It takes time to produce them properly.
专业的事情交给专业的这个公司来做。 整体的这个业务的这个流程，它会分为，你比如像上游端的，像需求端的像这种老师、高校跟一些这种培训机构，他们所需要一些这种线上的这种视频的课程，但是说这种课程的话是交给谁来做的？是我们这种比较专业的这种公司来做。
Before the outbreak, research firm Frost & Sullivan forecasted China's online education market would triple in value to nearly $100 billion in 2023, up from around $30 billion last year. That estimate could grow much higher because of COVID-19. But there's still no shortage of demand for face-to-face tutoring in Asia. South Korea's Cram School Association claims it has 1 million student members attending their study centres devoted to helping students pass entrance exams. The Greensome Art Academy is one of its affiliates. Like regular day schools in the country, Cram schools closed because of COVID-19 towards the end of February. But it ignored official recommendations and reopened just a week after the shutdown. As they weren't required by law to close, there were no legal repercussions for reopening.
저희 같은 경우는 아까도 말씀드렸지만 입시이기 때문에 학부모님들의 정말 성화에 못 이겨서 문을 열었고요.
Some of the students in this class flunked college admissions exams last year. Now they're under pressure to make the grade second time round. Students might be able to take a science or language class without being in a classroom, but it's tricky getting hands-on instruction for something like an art class.
대학 입시가 이제 다가오기도 하고 집에서 그림을 그리다가 학원에 그런 쌤들의 도움이 필요한 것 같아서 학원에 왔어요.
The school is still taking precautions. The students are kept at least a metre apart from one another. There are temperature checks for all of them when they arrive, and plenty of hand sanitizers for people to keep their hands clean.
그림을 그릴 때 이게 산소가 잘 안 통해서 조금 숨쉬기도 힘들고 그런 면이 있지만 그래도 입시는 계속 되니까 어쩔 수 없게 되는 것 같아요. 그래도 학원에서 많은 관리가 있어서 정신적으로 그렇게 힘들지는 않은 것 같아요.
학생들의 안전을 위해서, 그러니까 학생들이 학원을 오지 않으면 그 시간에 애들은 PC방이나 노래방이나 또는 길거리에서 방황을 해요. 3, 3, 5. 그렇기 때문에 오히려 방역을 열심히 한 학원에 있는 게 아이들은 안전하다.
그래서 저는 면대면 교육의 가장 큰 장점은 교사와 학생들의 인격적인 만남, 그걸 통해서 서로 상호작용을 통해서 학생들이 잠재력을 끌어낼 수 있는 방법들을 교사가 알고 있고 그것을 잘 활성화시켜줄 수 있는 준비된 교사들이 있다는 게 가장 큰 장점이라고 생각하고요. 그걸 통해서 학생들한테 알매 기쁨을 느껴주게 하는 게 사실은 교육의 본질적인 목적이죠. 그래서
And no matter the length of the strides remote or online learning might have made over the course of the coronavirus outbreak, it seems they can't fully replace classroom learning entirely for now.